Way up in north-central Maine, where the blacktop gives way to dirt logging roads, a group of like-minded folk gather in the spring, shortly after ice out on Moosehead Lake. They rendezvous on Spencer Bay, just west of the tiny village of Cocadjo, to pursue lake trout, brook trout, landlocked salmon, and the occasional smallmouth bass. And they do so in classic Northeast craft, the designs of which spring from Native American voyaging canoes later used for 17th and 18th century fur trading. In short, these vessels carry a boatload of history and outdoor adventure.
So the Northern Grand Laker Freighter Canoe Group began probably about 7 years ago, and it was my way of a social media experiment. Meaning I'm not real well versed on Facebook and social media as a whole, but I figured, I just bought this boat, and I bet there's other like-minded individuals around that share the same interest and enthusiasm. So I started the group on Facebook, and I think after about a year, the group had about 100 members. And it's all about getting the right people involved, and since that time, fast forward to today, we're at about 1,500 members, making up 7 countries, many from Canada, many from Maine, all over the United States, including Alaska, that share the interest of the traditional Maine-built Grand Laker canoe and the brother to that of the freighter canoe, which came from Canada.
I got interested in the Grand Laker because it's a traditional Maine fishing boat, especially down in down East Maine, Washington County. This particular one is white Maine cedar and mahogany. And I started working on it on January, and I finished in the spring. I think it was in April for fishing back in 2011. And it weighs about 150 pounds. And as it turns out, I used a Gilpatrick design. And I talked to him several times during the construction process. And the book basically gave me the offsets, and I went from there with it. And then started looking for the materials, of which is real difficult to find because there's no real such thing as clear Maine white cedar. It's always got knots in it. And but I was able to find some, and there's probably 125 board feet of strips, and they were 5/16 thick when I started, and then I started planing them down from there. Everything is kind of scarf jointed, so to speak, and I use shorter pieces instead of longer ones, found them easier to deal with. It's very durable, and it was a pleasure to build. It was fun.
So when we were volunteering up in the Allagash, the boats that were allowed to run up there on the river in that area had to fit the Allagash regulations. So the square stern canoe is one of the things that fits the Allagash regulations. I said, that's the kind of boat that I want. I wanted to meet those guidelines. And like I said, it's a very stable boat. It's sturdy, it's a workhorse, holds a lot of gear. That's really what I was looking for. So it's a Scott. It's the 18-foot Albany square stern. It was originally sold out of Medway, Maine, which is where my wife's from. So a little connection there. And I didn't feel like I needed a much bigger boat. It'd be more than what I could handle or more than what I was really interested in working with. This gave me a little bit more flexibility as far as getting in and out of ponds and stuff pretty easily.
So historically, the Grand Laker canoe has been used to take sports out, fishing primarily in the Grand Lake stream area, but also throughout Maine. The Grand Laker is, really home to the state of Maine, and there's some great individuals that are still crafting these fine works of craftsmanship to this day. The freighter canoe goes all the way back several hundred years ago, especially in northern Canada, before outboards, as a way for the fur traders and the people that are hunting in commerce. That's how they transported the goods and services on the northern rivers of Quebec in the North Woods, per se. Today, there are many lodges. There's outfitters that use the freighter canoe just due to the fact the amount of payload you can put into one of these boats. They're easy to maintain. We're running an 8-horse or a 9.9 or a 15-horse outboard. They're very economical to own and operate, and by far just a great boat.
Thank you for watching. For more exclusive video content, including short films, episodes, and features, be sure to click the subscribe button and look for us on social media at Explorer New England Films.